American Military University proudly presents Mission San Diego Military, produced by the San Diego Military Advisory Council and Cloudcast Media. San Diego is America's finest military city. From the Marines and Navy to the Coast Guard and Naval Special Warfare, San Diego is a proud military town. Mission San Diego Military will help you better understand how the San Diego military leads, innovates, and cares for community and country. Mission San Diego Military, co-hosted by the CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council, retired Rear Admiral David Boone, and Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, begins right now.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You get to be listening to an edition of San Diego Military Advisory Council's Mission San Diego Military, brought to you by American Military University. The theme of this podcast will be Barriers to Success for a Transitioning Military and their veterans. I'm the co-host of the show, and just absolutely so proud to have as my colleague on this and co-host David Boone. He is the president and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council. He's a retired Navy Rear Admiral. The Mission San Diego Military podcast series is produced by Cloudcast Media. As we mentioned, the sponsor is American Military University, a leader in educating our military and their families since 1993. With us is a very, very cool guest. We got Jeff Forbes, the CEO of the Patriot Group. How you doing there, Jeff?
Doing well, sir. Thanks for having me.
Good to see you again. Tracy Steele, Senior Manager for Hiring Our Heroes, part of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. How's it going, Tracy? Good?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Of course. I can't wait to hear this great content. And David, how you been since our last podcast? Good?
Great to be on the show again, and great to be co-hosting with you. So let me set the table for this one, if
Please.
I could.
Absolutely.
Back at the beginning of this year, 2025, we set as our number one legislative agenda to retain and attract veterans and transitioning military to California. We're losing veterans at a high rate. They're going to other states, and we'll talk about why in a moment. But as part of that, we've garnered community support in our endeavor. And in the beginning of November, there was a CalVet Executive Summit. CalVet gets together once a year. They do it in San Diego because of the predominance of military here and veterans. And they go over a lot of their programs. Well, we had pretty much the last day of the conference, and both Tracy and Jeff and others that will be on subsequent episodes were on panel sessions that day to address the issues of transitioning military and veterans and what it's going to take to keep them in California. So that's the setup for this.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff, maybe in a few words, what's the mission of the Patriot Group?
Well, the mission of the Patriot Group is for our employees to buy homes here in Southern California. You know, with the Patriot Group being about 67% veteran, that means we're having veterans buy homes. And so that's the mission here. But the business mission, I mean, that's the purpose behind it, but the business mission is to become the nation's most trusted third-party logistics contractor across the utility from coast to coast.
No, that's terrific. And Tracy, the mission of Hiring Our Heroes?
Yeah, Hiring Our Heroes is here to help support the military transitioning service members, veterans, and military spouses and caregivers find economic opportunities through employment.
So as a military spouse, you were chatting that you only moved 9 times, right? My goodness. So obviously you have a good perspective. You're an RN by schooling and by trade and all that aspect of it. So talk about how important it is to just work so hard to keep military families and their spouses here.
To keep them in San Diego?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to, we love San Diego. My family, we decided that this is where we wanted to stay and plant roots, and we worked really hard to get there. And in order to do it, you need to be dual income. So, you know, for me, like at those 9 different moves, I was not able to hold on to my career as a registered nurse. I'm like so many other military spouses. So for 9 years, I had no income coming in, no 401k, no Social Security, all those things. So it was really important to me to be able to find my own employment and find a position where I was going to be contributing to the financial health of my family. And also finding that sense of belonging of what I wanted to do. I meet spouses like that every day. So that is who I'm helping, and they're making decisions whether they can stay here or if they have to go on, or even stay in active duty service, all if they can find employment, meaningful employment.
Right. So, David, how many times did you move around during your career?
15 times in 30 years.
15 times. Okay. That's, you got Tracy beat a little bit on that one over there.
A little bit. But...
Yeah, exactly. No, but your spouse, okay, faced the same challenges, correct?
Absolutely. We had 5 kids. We drug around the world. We had 4 overseas tours. And, when you go out of the country, it's a whole different ball game. But moving from any community, sports, music, schooling, all those things that you do with your children, you get uprooted. And I'm not saying it's bad, they're better for it, but in the moment, it's pretty tough for a military family to find their roots in a new place.
Yeah, there's no question about it. It's tough enough when you actually move once or twice, and within the same state, it's even a challenge. But you're talking about different areas and all this. Jeff, what got you interested in this mission and for the Patriot Group? You're the founder of it.
Well, the Patriot Group, honestly, I started the Patriot Group because I was a disabled veteran that got out of the Marine Corps and didn't know what I was going to do for my future. I got out with a master's degree, 2 bachelor's degrees, and I was going to work for the CIA, DEA, FBI, but there was a federal hiring freeze. And so I started selling electrical material. And then I realized that, how much money there was in the trades and how many people didn't know about them. The United States of America is about 40 years behind in training people on the trades. In other countries, you start your trade in high school. In other countries, if you're going to be a plumber, you start being a plumber at 14 years old, and that's your trade. In the United States, we've just preached white collar for so long that there's such a gap, and our infrastructure is lacking because of it. You go out here and we drive down the 15, or I drive down any of these roads. There's so many potholes that I have to go get my suspension fixed in my car every few months or every few years, depending on what I drive. And so I really looked at our nation's workforce and said, hey, I never learned about the trades coming out of the Marine Corps. Let's go see if there's other veterans who are interested in getting in the trades. And hey, are you interested in learning this trade? And once they find out, you start at 6 figures, it's like, okay, I can do that. But we don't even, we're not preaching them, we're not teaching them on bases. And so that's why it became very important to me.
Now, do you work with the districts on this? There's 43 school districts in San Diego County that are making a shift, I must say that, toward focusing on a lot of pathways and colleges and careers and so forth, which it seemed that your organization would work well with those districts. Do you talk to some of those?
So I've met with a few of the mayors, and then they put me in contact with the school boards. And to be honest with you, it's not something where we've accepted widely in the United States. Most parents I've talked to about their kids getting in the trades don't really like it. They're like, I had a dream my kid was going to go to college because I didn't go to college. But what is the purpose of college? The purpose of college, and I'm not knocking it. I have degrees. My kids can go do whatever they want to do. But isn't the point of going to college so that way we can grow up and be a successful member of society? Well, in order to be a successful member of society, and in order for there to be a society in the future, we're going to need people that operate in the trades. And I think that had I in high school had a test that said, okay, what should I do when I grow up? The trades might have actually been on there because I am a visual learner. I do better when I'm working with my hands. And so some people like it and some people don't.
Absolutely. David?
So what Jeff is saying is absolutely correct. We have lost over a 20-year period roughly half our veterans in the workforce in California, from about 1.2, nearly 1.3 million down to 600,000. Many of those people would be in the trades that Jeff's talking about, and they're choosing to move to Texas, Florida, Virginia, Tennessee, Georgia. Why? Because number one, they can sustain themselves with a employment in the trades due to the cost of living, and there's opportunity there. So one of the things we're partnered with Jeff on is to expand the opportunity with the trades to enable veterans to stay here instead of moving to other places. So that's an important point.
Yeah. And I think, one of the things that you'd be happy to hear is that a lot of districts are moving toward a lot of this interest-based surveys with their students. and asking them what a shock, what are they interested in? How about that? We have known this since people were walking upright. When they're motivated to do something because they're interested in it, they raise the level on this. And we're really happy to see some of that. Tracy, talk about, the importance of military spouse employment. And we know that is something that is critical. We talk about those things. There's so much that military spouses can do and have the skill sets to do. How do we get that more ingrained in the community?
Yeah, we've been sitting at a 21% unemployment rate. It's pretty much remained unchanged for quite a while. I think the misnomer is a lot of people think that we're just good at being an executive assistant, a secretary. We could do something like that, where the majority of us actually have college degrees, and a lot of them have advanced degrees. In fact, I met 2 Gold Star spouses a couple weeks ago who both had doctorate degrees. So we're highly educated. We have several different languages that many military spouses speak, and a lot of different diversity in our skill sets and backgrounds. So really, we are the most dependable, and we just want to have an opportunity to plant roots in a company and grow and move with them and have that career progression that we just aren't afforded because we move every time. So we've never been able to get the high promotions. I meet educators all the time who are always stay in a classroom. They're not ever able to advance up because they're going to the next school district and they're having to be a substitute teacher or whatever it might be. So really, we just need employers to know that they're going to be finding really great talent and to give us a chance. And we need flexible, opportunities. I've seen it happen here in San Diego, where I've worked with some of the organizations who insist on having in-person opportunities. And then once they get to know the spouses and see how incredible they are and the value they bring to their organization, have allowed them to then move remote as they've had to have a military move across the country.
Yeah, David?
Yeah, the portfolio of a spouse, certainly they have the hard degrees and experiences, but on the soft skill side, because, Tracy moved 9 times, we moved 15 times, what you find is they're agile, they're innovative, they're creative. They've had a lot of different experiences, including working with different cultures. So you look at the soft skill sets that these spouses have acquired by being a spouse in the military. It's eye-watering what they're able to do and what they bring to an organization, and they try to build community. That's the first thing. When they transfer to a new duty station, they're trying to insert themselves and help build a community. And that's what they do for organizations. So it's really key that we figure out as a community a way to provide the highest and best use of this demographic of people. And the other thing I'll say relative to retaining veterans and transitioning military, guess what? It's usually the spouse that makes the decision anyway on where the family's going to live. If you don't have the spouse buy-in, you're not. I don't care where you think you're going to live. You're going to stay where the spouse wants to stay.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I'm Drew Schlossberg with Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Mission San Diego Military, brought to you by American Military University, a leader in educating our military and their family since 1993, joined by my co-host, David Boone. He's the president and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council. I want to get back to something you were saying, Tracy, and you could weigh in on it as well, Jeff. It's getting those employers to understand, that the talent pipeline that they have right in their backyard. So is one of the strategies of hiring our heroes, is it working with local chambers of commerce? I know we're going to have one of our good buddies, Chris Thorne, coming on a little bit later, CEO of North San Diego Business Chamber. Talk about that.
Yeah, so it's having those relationships with the chamber, but really having those deeper relationships with the employers in all the different local areas. Most jobs now, there'll be 1,400 applicants for a position. And so if you need to know somebody or if you're the first person to apply, then you're going to be looked at. So the way Hiring Our Heroes works is we develop those relationships with different employers. And so we're presenting these resumes as human beings, as people and their skill sets, and just asking for them to be given a chance. Because most times military spouses don't have the network because they've had to reinvent themselves in each different move. So that's a big part of what we do is just the relationship development, knowing what our employers need, what hiring needs, and then trying to match them with the talent that we have.
So, Jeff, with you out there obviously are working with different groups, the trades and so forth. How do you engage them to get involved in this space?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Not all employers are good employers that I would send veterans to. A lot of the veterans organizations that hire veterans, or a lot of organizations that hire veterans, use them for the 2 Ps. Okay, and I normally ask a veteran, what are your 2 Ps? What are they doing? What I mean by 2 Ps, is this a photo op or is this an actual partnership? Because a lot of us love to throw out, we're working with veteran organizations, we hired all these veterans for a photo, but the partnership normally ends right as soon as that camera clicks off. Okay, and so there's a lot of times that I won't bring a bunch of veterans. I won't even bring on veterans for an internship if there's not an actual chance for them to have a job there. Because I don't need to get a veteran's hope up. I don't need to tell a veteran, you're a member of the Patriot Group family. You'll always have a home here, knowing that I get 6 months of free labor out of them. And so we have to be careful sending our veterans to organizations that understand their rights, because all business owners don't understand what's going on. We want to send our veterans to the right organizations. And so I canvassed the environment of the organization, like how many of the veterans that did internships here are actually here? How many veterans that did internships here are actually here after a year later, or here after 5 years later? Were they able to find meaningful employment there? Were they able to make it a career? Okay, I don't want to send veterans to companies who are just going to use veterans as a transition assistance program.
Right. So how do you vet those? Obviously, you keep track of which ones are the companies that would be good to send to vets and which ones would, maybe we'll pass on it. Is it growing? I hope that number is growing.
Well, I'm selfish. And so obviously, as an organization, I'm going to be selfish.
Yeah.
And so I want the best veterans that I can possibly have.
Right.
And so I'm going to ask them, hey, what other locations are you looking at? Okay, well, ask the hiring manager when you sit to talk to them, how many veterans are still there after a year? If they can't actually give you that number, they have no clue what's going on in their organization.
Right.
They just have a quota to hit. Okay, and so I tell veterans, I'm like, listen, do not go to an organization that just has a quota to hit. Go to an organization that actually wants you to grow, benefit, and have longevity there.
Right. We're going to be right back after a short break as we chat with Jeff Forbes, CEO of the Patriot Group, joined by his colleague Tracy Steele, Senior Manager of Hiring Our Heroes from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, joined by my colleague David Boone, co-host of our Mission San Diego Military and the President and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council. We will be right back.
My first PCS, when I came back to stateside, we were so stressed out. Everything was just thrown at us. And I wish I could just go back and tell past me, like, hey, it's going to be fine. Go with the flow.
I'm Drew Schlosser of Cloudcast Media and listening to another edition of Mission San Diego Military, brought to you by the American Military University since 1993. They've been working with military and their families. Joined by my co-host, David Boone, President and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council. And we're just so thrilled to have in the studio with us today Tracy Steele, Senior Manager for Hiring Our Heroes at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and Jeff Forbes, CEO of the Patriot Group. I know, Tracy, you're really proud of this really cool military spouse career Accelerator pilot. Talk about that.
So for the past 3 years, we have been facilitating the Department of Defense's Military Spouse Career Accelerator pilot. So in 2017, Hiring Our Heroes had started our own fellowships for military spouses and provided a successful model. And the DoD came to us and asked us to facilitate their pilot that was much bigger than what we were doing. So we helped them start it back 3 years ago. And over the course of 3 years, we've successfully helped over 1,300 military spouses find direct hire or fellowship opportunities opportunities and find that meaningful employment. We've been sitting at about an 86% follow-on employment rate, and so proved that the pilot was successful. And so the DoD has now turned into an enduring program, and it's transitioning right now, and they will be taking over managing it starting in January.
That's terrific. David, go ahead.
No, it's an amazing program, and I'm really proud to be associated through Tracy with this program. As we see it grow and expand, I think there'll be even more opportunities for it'll grow exponentially because the program will get its feet on the ground, get visibility to employers, and the employers will start coming to a program that works. So we're excited about it.
Yeah, so I'll start with you on Jeff, and you certainly add to it, Tracy. With my background in communications, I just always sort of cringe when I find out that people aren't promoting themselves, for God's sake, or they're not going ahead. Jeff, how do you accelerate what's going on with the Patriot Group? How do you promote what you're doing? What's the best way of getting the word out? And how can partners help you get the word out?
So I put my money where my mouth is. I had a woman come to me when I had 5 employees. Her name's Jennifer Cortez, and she knew that I had a heart for veterans. So we brought her on. We were a small organization, and Jennifer has done a great job reaching out to all the veterans organizations, getting plugged in, getting the Patriot Group set up as a sponsor, getting Patriot Group positioned to really be able to help the military community, not only here in San Diego, but at all of our branches nationwide. So any organization, I would say, whether it's an ERG, an employee resource group for veterans, or it's actually bringing on a member to your team that understands, oh, by the way, she's a military spouse, but to bring them on, and it shows your organization that you actually care. Okay, it shows people in your organization that you're actually on the front line promoting veterans, putting veterans to work. And so I think that's the biggest thing that we've done. Our biggest win has probably been all the awards that we've won. I'm not really a big trophy guy, but I like when people are awarded for what they've done. And so all of the awards on our shelves and all the cabinets and the CEOs of the year and Veteran Business of the Year and all that stuff has nothing to do with me per se. It has everything to do with us having Jennifer Cortez on staff as a Marine Corps spouse. She understands who we are, what we do, and she understands our vision for the Patriot Group. And so I would say that the best thing that any organization can do is put your money where your mouth is, invest in our veterans, okay? Invest in our veterans. Don't just do it when it looks good to you, but do what's best for the veteran. And if there's any veteran out there that's looking to get into the trades, we're going to be setting up a meeting with Senator Sin, the leaders of the IBW 1245, 47, the Plumbers Union, Carpenters Union, Laborers Union, and we're going to sit down and have a real conversation about why we aren't meeting our goals. And the truth of the matter is the trades haven't done a great job marketing themselves either. Okay, so the trades all have veterans first hiring. And so if I'm a veteran that's trying to get into the trade or IBW, I'm going to get preferential treatment. I'm actually going to be I get a guaranteed interview. And so some people may do a terrible job on their resume, but they get a guaranteed interview because they are a veteran. And so as long as they can sell themselves in person, a lot of times they can return to the trades and stay here in California. And so we're going to combine the Patriot Group and the different labor unions and CalVet together and SDMAC together on the same page, how we retain veterans, because my goal is that number of 600,000 veterans left here in the state of California. I want to see that number grow. I want to see that, and I want to see veterans look at California as a place that okay, I no longer need to go to Idaho or Texas or Florida. The state of California has the resources and the heart, has the 4th largest economy, to actually be a state that veterans look at and say, man, my family's struggling down here. I'm getting up and I'm going back to California. And for some of you guys that like rap music, there's a song that says I'm going back to California. Well, it says Cali, but I want to be, politically correct and, make sure my, grammar's correct on that.
Very, very good, David.
So SDMAC is actively pursuing a Senate Bill 519. And the goal of this bill is to create a task force within the state structure to figure out all the ways to incentivize and retain veterans in California. And a part of that will be the business community. How do we attract more veteran-owned businesses? And like Jeff, when a veteran owns a business, they tend to look after and hire more veterans. So that's one way to kind of stimulate the system. But we've got to figure out better ways to make it attractive for veterans to say, I want to plant my flag here and start a business just like Jeff did.
Yeah, there's no question about that, and part of that is just the promotion of it. So, Tracy, what differentiates what Hiring Our Heroes is from other groups? What makes you guys just raise to the top?
Well, we are associated with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, so we're the foundation, the nonprofit arm of the Chamber, headquartered in D.C. at the Chamber building, but we're strategically placed throughout the country. We serve really globally, but all 50 states, we have program managers and managers all sprinkled throughout, so that they can do that relationship development and know the hiring needs, know the candidates that we need to be helping find employment at the local level. And so I will, kind of talk about SDMAC real quick. Just with me here being in San Diego, that was a required location for my position, and just doing that developing of the relationships through with David Boone and SDMAC for the past 3 years. It was them getting to know Hiring Our Heroes, what we offer, and bringing to light military spouses and what we can bring. And it was month after month that people started meeting the spouses. It was bringing them as volunteers, and they were coming and sitting at the tables, and people were actually meeting them and knowing what they're able to do. And I need to count it again, but it's over 10 spouses at least that month after month we were getting them hired, all locally here in San Diego. And to your point too, I think a lot of them were veteran-owned businesses. We got the Mount Soledad, Memorial. He's hired 2 spouses of mine, and he's actually the one who wanted everybody in person, and he didn't want to lose his marketing coordinator when she had to PCS, so she now works remote. So shout out to Neil O'Connell for that.
Yeah.
But
He's the best. Yeah, absolutely, and he's a great marketer, and he's got Trevor working with them as well. And these guys are just all over the place as they should be in this area. To start with you on this, Jeff, and then we'll pivot over to certainly Tracy, and then David. I know you want to weigh in on this. You mentioned some of the challenges out there, and you just say, "Listen, I'm not going to send a vet over to someone that wants a photo op, and that's it, and we'll see you after 6 months, and goodbye." But talk about what this means: certification that works for us, not against us. What does that mean?
If you've ever tried to get your business veteran certified in the state of California, it's a maze of political, it's a maze of political frustration, and
it's a goat rodeo.
It's a goat rodeo, and it's not organized at all. And so, if, for instance, if I want to, I'm not going to name any agencies because I've got a lot of good people over there and a lot of good friends at the agencies that are helping me work through all these things on a veteran level. And we've actually made a lot of headway here in the state of California, but there needs to be more certification for veteran-owned business needs to be more streamlined. Every organization in the state of California should accept the same veteran certification. I shouldn't have to get certified with every different state organization or every different IOU or every different municipality or every different school district or every different city or county. There should be one certification, and the certification process should be way shorter. If I'm a veteran and I just started a business, I don't have all the documents that they're requesting me to have in order to get certified. And so as a veteran, when you first start a business, if I was to go on ChatGTP and say, hey, I'm a veteran in California starting a business, that list of requirements is going to be 19 pages long of things that I have to get accomplished. And so if we could streamline the basic requirement, are you a veteran? Did you serve? Do you own your business? If there could be 4 or 5 questions and yes, you're certified, it would make it a lot easier to get certified.
I have to jump in here. So if you're a Navy corpsman or an Army medic and you want to work in that field, every one of our 58 counties in the state of California has different requirements, to his point, right?
Craziness.
And they don't recognize military experience and education. So you're starting as if you were an entry-level employee. And so they mandate that you take classroom work for course instruction, in this case the medical field. And these are advanced corpsmen and medics that have worked in combat. I mean, it's ridiculous. So this is part of what SB 519 is going to do, is look at reducing the bureaucracy and streamlining what it takes to transition from a military member into our community.
But
Yeah.
David, it makes perfect sense. Our medics are trained to go, survive and treat people in Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're the 1% of the 1%. So shouldn't they have to come back and do everything over again? It's logical, right? That makes perfect sense to everybody.
Yeah, right. So we've got to do what makes sense instead of just rewrite the book for every individual. Start them from scratch.
Yeah. Tracy, how about you with challenges?
Challenges for the military spouse.
Spouses for hiring our heroes. What do we need to do to accomplish and to overcome this?
I think one, understand the military spouse. Our professional background it's not going to be linear. It's not going to make sense. But we are gaining skills from everything we've done. I've had a 9-year pay gap. I call it a pay gap because I was working. I just didn't get that paycheck. So a lot of us are very involved in different volunteer service. I did a lot of leadership roles. I was leading nonprofit organizations, meeting mayors and managing large budgets. So I am not an anomaly. That's how a lot of military spouses are. We are, servant leaders. So know that our resumes aren't going to look the right way that you think. So look outside the box and know that is the talent that we're bringing to you, along with our networks and all the great things. And then I would encourage employers really to take a look at us. As David mentioned, that we a lot of times are the ones who make the decisions where to end up or whether to stay in the military. So if we can be employed and happy, we are going to be able to plant roots in San Diego or plant roots wherever we might need to go.
No one has to spend too much time in San Diego to know that it is the absolute smallest big city in the history of humankind. We are the 8th largest city in the country. But we're connected, and so a lot of it, credit to what SDMAC has been building over its years, and of course, David hit the ground running doing this, and the tentacles that are in with SDMAC, whether it's business, whether it's universities, whether it's CBOs, whatever the case may be. You pick up a phone in San Diego, and you say, listen, you know what? Phil Blair or whoever the case may be, or Mark Cafferty, Jeff Forbes needs to talk to you. Oh, okay, I'll talk to Jeff. And it works. Have you found that the same way working in San Diego? Yes or no?
Yes. But, I know of the resources now, and I've engaged in it, and I'm a part of it. I every day meet people who are mind blown when they learn about different opportunities or different resources. And so it's really getting the word out as to the community that is here and that is here to support the military community at large. So I think because we're in it, we know about it. And if you're not in it, then you don't know.
Jeff, you're very proud, as you should be, about the fact that your team members can buy homes here in San Diego. Talk about that.
Growing up, I didn't have a home, So basically, when we finally got into a house, it was like 900 square feet, and there was 6 kids in a 900 square foot home. We used to have to open the oven and to heat the house, and so I never thought I'd buy a home. And so when I started the Patriot Group and bought my first home, I was pumped. I thought, oh, this is the greatest day of my life. This is the moment I finally made it. And then my number 2 bought a house. And I was happier on the day he bought his home than I was the day I bought my house. And that's the day that kind of sparked in me, like, okay, this is not about just you. And so we went on the deck of the Midway. We won an award here in San Diego. And I said that, hey, the Patriot Group's here to buy homes and here to build the economy in the state of California. And the whole deck of the Midway was silent. I was like, man, I have bombed this speech, And then I got done speaking and it erupted, because I don't think anybody was ever looking at, okay, if we can sit here and say we want veterans to stay in California, we want veterans to stay here in California, all we want to, but if no one's taking the steps to actually making that happen, what are we doing? Because veterans, they don't want promises, they want pathways. Jeff, how did you get where you're at? How do I do this? They've always been on mission, they've always been on task, but we can't be people that keep saying we want veterans here, veterans here, without putting our gloves on, putting our work boots on, putting our jeans on. I'm not saying that because I'm in the trades. I'm using it as a reference across the board, that we're going to have to do some work resetting not only how we see veterans, but actually understanding veterans. And I'm sure every military spouse is different. I'm guessing. I don't know a lot of them, but I'm guessing they're all different. We need to be able to look at each veteran differently and say, okay, cool. How do I lead you to where you want to go?
Yeah, there's no question about it. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, co-host of Mission San Diego Military, with David Boone, President and CEO of the San Diego Military Advisory Council. Thrilled to have in the studio with us today Tracy Steele, Senior Manager for Hiring Our Heroes of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, and Jeff Forbes, CEO of the Patriot Group, brought to you by American Military University since 1993, working with military and veteran families in this area. I'll start with you on this, Tracy, and then pivot over to our good friend Jeff, and then always save some time for David to add to this. What can our listeners do and viewers to support what you're doing in Hiring Our Heroes?
Well, one, I think at the local level, meet a military spouse, meet a military family, and get to know them and help them with opportunities. So, Jeff had mentioned it earlier, we're looking for pathways. We're not looking for handouts. So we're the hardest working, military spouses. So would love that opportunity. And then at the greater for Hiring Our Heroes is with U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. So we are a nonprofit and we rely on corporate and donor, sponsorship money in order to exist and grow and serve more people. So if you are an employer that is looking to help support and provide pathways to employment for our military-connected, community, then, please reach out because we would love to have a partnership.
Yeah. Do you need volunteers at all? Yes, no, or not really?
Not necessarily volunteers. We want to really spread the word of different opportunities that are coming up. We're in San Diego. We're going to be out here in February. I'm not sure, February 10th and 12th. There are going to be different opportunities for everybody in the military connected community. So we'll have a workshop for military spouses called Amplify, get them career ready, and then follow it into a hiring event, also for the service members. So we just are looking to serve our community. So get the word out to those military spouses and transitioning service members and veterans.
And what's the website so people can find out about these events?
HiringOurHeroes.org.
Very good. Jeff, what can we do to support the Patriot Group?
I'm actually going to flip it around, and I want to talk to other business owners. Okay, the Patriot Group can't hire all veterans. We're not that big yet, and so I'm asking every business owner I know to get involved in the veteran community. If you're a veteran out there and you have a business and you're struggling to find employees, you're struggling to find the good people, I would say go backwards. Call your guys in the Marine Corps, call your guys in the Navy, the Coast Guard, and ask them how they're doing, ask them if they need a job, ask them if they know any other veterans need jobs. I would say all of the nonprofit organizations out there that help veterans and do all these things for veterans they say they do on paper. I would ask that we take a real hard look at ourselves and are we doing what we say we're going to do? Are we even doing what we say we do already? And then I'm going to ask all the politicians, board of supervisors, SBA, any of those other organizations out there, whether government entity or whatever, to look at their veterans hiring practices and ask the question: have we ever audited it? Have we ever looked at how many veterans are actually here? Is it a check in the box, or are we changing veterans' lives? And then just for Sacramento, I would ask questions of, A, we're the world's fourth largest economy. How many of those businesses are veteran-owned businesses? Because if you look in other states, some of the largest businesses in those other states are veteran-owned businesses that left California. Why did they leave? Have we ever taken a retrospective look at why those businesses left? And then another thing I would do is I would ask the state of California to take a hard look at some of the different state agencies that say they're working with veterans or they have these programs set up. And the last thing, I just want to talk to any veteran out there right now that's struggling. It's the holiday season's coming up, and I know that's the highest veteran suicide rate. I would ask all you guys that, man, if you're out there and you're having a rough time right now during the holiday season, reach out to a brother, reach out to a friend. You can just walk into the VA. If you're having suicidal thoughts or ideations, I would say walk into the VA and sit down. There's HIPAA rules, so they're not going to tell anybody about it, but that's what I would say to anybody out there. The Patriot Group's website is go-patriot.com. I'd love to meet all the other veteran-owned businesses, and I've actually put together something with SDMAC that I wrote with SDMAC to present to Lindsay Sen from CalVet about how we do a real veterans business boot camp. And what I mean by a real veterans business boot camp is we're not going to do the warm and fuzzy photo ops. It's going to be this is what it means to do business. Maybe you're not a business owner, and that's okay. Like, you can make a ton of money being a number 2 or 3, but giving veterans the actual hard look at what it takes. Like, for instance, veteran businesses have a terrible time with capital. Okay. Can we present a plan to the state of California that gives veterans preferential treatment on bonding capacity? Can we do things like early payment terms? Can we do things like, different tax bracket for veteran-owned businesses? I've had multiple governors fly me to their states and talk to me about moving the Patriot Group to their states because of the tax brackets. One of those states in the Midwest is 8%. So, and they're calling it the second gold rush, is what they're going to call it. And it's going to be a return to Oklahoma, because boomer sooner, when the people went to Oklahoma earlier,
Sure.
they're trying to return people to Oklahoma. And so we have other states reaching out to veteran-owned businesses, trying to get them to move into new states. But we're not keeping the ones we have here in California. And so you got to really take a hard look and ask yourself, 1.2 million veterans down to 600,000. How much longer are we going to do the same thing we're doing right now and get to 300,000? And then get to the point where we might as well move San Diego Airport to Camp Pendleton, because veterans are going to get out of the Marine Corps and get out of here as fast as humanly possible. We've got to make a change.
Yeah, good point. David, you do a great job of wrapping up.
Well, I want to piggyback on some of Jeff's comments. My message is really for our industry partners out there, our business leaders. I talk to a lot of business leaders. I ask them about their veteran hiring policy, and I usually get, oh yeah, we do that. We do that. I say, okay, so what is your policy? Well, they don't really know. And so if you're an executive, go ask your HR. What is the process if you encounter a veteran? So that's number one. Number two, my son recently transitioned out of the Marine Corps. He was a logistician for the Marine Corps. He moved men, material, stuff all over the world, and he struggled to find a job. And he said his hardest issue was large companies tend to put in as a prerequisite their own operating system, experience with their own operating system as a prerequisite for the job. Well, if you are coming out of the military, you have no hands-on experience with a company's operating system, right? And so does that really make sense when this person has all these other soft skills of leadership, teamwork, ingenuity, determination? Why wouldn't you want a person with those other soft skills? And so I asked our business leaders to take a look at your requirements and how do you handle a candidate that's a veteran? Do you look at them any differently? And you might want to consider that this person has a different skill set than your average person walking down the street. So that's my message to our business community.
Well, all of the stuff, the conversations that Jeff's having and at that level, and certainly with Tracy and this, all are going to lead to more eyeballs on this issue. And the more you promote it, the more you talk about it, it's going to accelerate it. Jeff Forbes, always good seeing you again, CEO of the Patriot Group, and Tracy Steele, an honor to chat with you, hiring our heroes, senior manager of the Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And this won't be the last time, I'm sure, we'll be chatting with you folks about it. We just want to keep the dialogue going as always. David, appreciate you being my colleague on co-hosting this Mission San Diego Military Show. And to American Military University, thank you for being a sponsor. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Mission San Diego Military, presented by American Military University, an educational leader for active duty military, veterans, and their families. Mission San Diego Military is produced by the San Diego Military Advisory Council in partnership with Cloudcast Media, the national leader in local podcasting. We're sure you learned quite a bit about why San Diego is America's finest military city. Please like, subscribe, and share the show.
Cloudcast Media.